Okay, so I have a story time. Okay, so I was at the mall, right? Because I was going back to school shopping, and we were in the checkout, and the cashier, he was like a teenager, he was like 16. He he asked my dad if he played football, and my dad said no. And then when we got up there, he was like, "I'm a football player," and started talking about how like he was like a sophomore, and how like all his football games. And then he said that he has a football game and stuff. And then he started talking about homecoming and stuff. And then, in front of my parents, he asked me if I wanted to go to his game and go to homecoming with him.
So this one time I was in 8th grade and there was a substitute. But he was so rude and strict. Around half of class time he handed us work to do. So there was a boy in my class who was known as the troublemaker, so when the substitute gave him the paper he shoved OT down the mon's pants, and that's not even the crazy part, the substitute took the boy to court.
2 of the time I called 911 at work, and if you weren't here for part 1, here's what happened. I was at work and I went to the bathroom and a woman fell off the toilet in the stall next to me and started seizing, but it was because she OD'd and then she woke up and ran out the door. Me and my managers then had to follow her out the doors, and now here we are. The lady then gets in her car and starts to drive away very slowly and very badly. As I'm still on the phone with 911, they tell me to describe her and her car, so I told them what she was wearing and her license plate number. I told them that she started to pull into the bank that was next to us on the right of the store. Then she decided to drive to the gas station, which was across the street. As soon as I said that, I saw red and blue flashing lights pulling her over. I hung up with the person on the 911 call and went back to work. Later that night, an officer came in and I showed them the bathroom where we found a needle cap on the ground in her stall. The officer then took my statement, and ever since I've been scared to go to the bathroom.
So me and my friends have been hiding my grilled chicken leftovers at each other's houses for over 2.5 years now. First, I hid them under Jordan's bed, and then she tied it on the back of Nina's car. Nina brought it up to school and waited to give it to Alyssa for her 21st birthday. When Alyssa found it, she saved it to give to Jordan for her 21st birthday, and we hid it in her closet. After Jordan found it, we opened it up to look at it. Then we immediately put it in Marissa's car, and she found it when she got home the next morning. 9 months later, I found it on my car and eventually gave it back to Marissa. Then Nina got it for her birthday, and we celebrated 1 year of having the chicken. And somehow Nina found it on our car and gave it to Alyssa for April Fool's Day. Then she mailed it to Jordan's apartment. I found it on my car and gave it to Nina the night before we left for LA. Then at Jordan's little sister's grad party, we had the caterers bring it and surprise her with it. A few months later, we burned the original box and put it in a new bag and had a little photo shoot for the chicken's 2nd birthday. Then Alyssa got it for her birthday again. Most recently, we snuck it under Jordan's tree for her to open Christmas Day with her family, which, by the look on his face, her dad totally seen.
This is a story time about how I almost died on a roller coaster. So me and my aunt went to Six Flags for the holidays and we planned to get on one of the roller coasters. So when we arrived at Six Flags we got ice cream and then we headed towards one of the rides. So we waited at the line for the ride, and when it was finally our turn to get on the ride I sat on the seat and I buckled up, and that's when the ride started. So while we are on the roller coaster I realized that I didn't buckle myself tight enough, and then I started to panic, and when the roller coaster went upside down I almost fell off of the seat, but my aunt grabbed me and made sure that I didn't fall off. So that is my story, and I am never going to get on a roller coaster ever again.
This is why you should never go scuba diving in a big group. This is a picture of Tom and Eileen Lonergan, and on January 25th, 1998, they had no idea what was about to happen to them. They wanted the chance to scuba dive in the largest coral reef system in the world. So they set sail with 26 other people and went 25 miles away from the coast of Queensland, Australia, which was their original location. Tom and Eileen only thought they'd be going scuba diving for 40 minutes and they'd come back up and then they'd go back to their hotel. So after about 40 minutes, everybody boards the boat and they go back to Queensland. The next day, another group of divers go out to the same location, and one of the divers found dive weights at the bottom of the ocean. They didn't think anything of it until they couldn't find Tom and Eileen. It had been 2 full days until anybody even noticed that they were gone. The people in the group with them just assumed they were out doing stuff or seeing Australia. People wanted to check on them to see if they were okay, so they went to the Lonergans' hotel room, and sitting outside of their door was their luggage. And that is when everybody realized they left them behind, because it had been 2 days and their luggage
Funniest
was...
thing just happened to me. So I was in Ragdoll Engine, yeah, and I was just vibing, you know. And this girl comes up to me and she's like, "Oh my god, you're that girl from TikTok who made the video that was like, oh, this is a message from my mum." And oh my gosh, when she said that, I was like, huh? How do you know it's me? Because I literally change my avatar all the time, so it's not like she could recognize me from my avatar. And then I realized I had the exact same outfit on that I had when I made that video. But she was like, oh yeah, you're that girl who made that video, aren't you? And then there was another person in the same server who had seen the video. So I kind of just played it off like it wasn't me, and that I just had the similar avatar, but like, oh my god, people actually recognize me.
Part 2 of Tom and Eileen Lonergan's disappearance. So yes, they had gone scuba diving in the largest coral reef system in the world with a very big group. And after 2 days of nobody seeing them, they started to get worried, so they ran to their hotel room, and their luggage had been untouched, sitting outside of their door. A massive search went underway, and both air and sea teams went to go look for the couple for 3 days. Rescue members found their diving gear ashore along with a dive slate. A dive slate is basically an easel or whiteboard that you can write on underwater. The slate said, to anyone who can help us, we have been abandoned on Agincourt Reef, Reef 25, January 1998, 3 p.m. Please help us, come to rescue us, before we die. Help. But sadly, Tom and Eileen's bodies were never discovered. Like any group, it's way safer to go scuba diving in a group of like 3 people because it's a lot easier to see that you're missing one person because there's only 2 of you left. But this was a group of 26 people. So whose fault do you think it is, and do you think they're really dead? Do you think it was the captain or the scuba diving company's fault? Do you think it was the group's fault, or do you think it was Tom and Eileen's fault?
This is a story time about how I almost drowned. So it was a Sunday and me and my brother decided to go to a public pool because it was really hot outside and we wanted to cool down. So when we arrived there it was a lot of people, but we didn't mind. So at the time I couldn't really swim, so I just sat by the pool and talked to people while my brother swam in the pool. So while I am talking, this girl comes up to me and pushes me into the pool, but I couldn't swim, so I started to drown, but luckily I was saved by a lifeguard. So after that happened, me and my brother told the girl's parents what had happened and we left the pool. So that is my story, and this won't happen again because now I know how to swim now. But thanks for watching.